Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and the factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country.
During his first inaugural address, President Trump was summarizing a situation that this country had been going through for decades, taking care of itself, the establishment, the deep state, but not the people. Talking about something that had happened, but also a prophecy, a prediction of what would happen to him. The establishment failed to protect him. At that moment, he wasn't president. He was a U.S. citizen. And it failed to protect everybody else who was there that day. You've heard about the pathetic response by the Secret Service. In the aftermath of what happened, they did nothing. They obfuscated. They outright lied. And now, finally, almost a year later, accountability? Is this accountability? It's an insult. Take a look at what they finally decided to do. Suspended without pay 6 Secret Service agents for the failures at Butler. The suspensions will range from 10 days to as much as 42 days. And when they get back from those suspensions, the agents will then be placed in roles with diminished operational responsibility. President Trump, of course, was almost assassinated that day. Does this seem adequate? Folks, I know we like the Secret Service heroes, but you have to be competent as well as brave. This was gross negligence, which is tantamount, quite frankly, under the law. The negligence was so bad that it might have been intentional. We're talking, what, 42-day suspension? Anybody remember Brian Williams? He was the anchor over on NBC News. He had his strong points. He had a sense of history, but like a lot of people on air, he was a bit pompous and a little bit carried away with himself, and he told tall tales. He kept telling this story about how he was shot down in Iraq in a helicopter. Turned out not to be the case, and they found out, and he was suspended from NBC for 6 months without pay. The fake news disciplines their people stronger than the government failing a president, and not only a president, Corey Comparator. He was murdered that day, wasn't he? This is a name that doesn't get enough attention. I am so glad that Mrs. Comparator is speaking out. We've heard from her before, but I don't think we've heard from her quite like this. It was an important message, and we all need to hear it.
Why weren't they paying attention? Why did they think that that roof didn't need covered? I can see it. You can see it from the farm show. Why would they let the president come out? Why weren't they watching? I'm angry. I lost the love of my life. My kids lost their father. They screwed up.
She's talking about the Secret Service. The question was, what would you tell the Secret Service? We can't just say, well, these are brave men and women and maybe some mistakes were made. This was far worse and far more sinister. What happened in the immediate aftermath? The director of the Secret Service was caught lying on national television. She outright lied about that sloped roof nonsense and why they didn't have anybody on the AGR building. And when confronted by lawmakers, she ran away, literally ran away. That's Marsha Blackburn following her, trying to catch up with the running away Kimberly Cheadle, Dick Cheney protege, by the way, ran away. What else did they do, the Secret Service? There was a lot of bureaucratic double talk, right? Fast-talking bureaucratic ease. They hoped nobody would understand, and by the time they figured out, well, everybody will have moved on. That's an old swamp trick. Also, indignation. How dare you question the men and women of the Secret Service? Well, we actually wanted to question the Secret Service that night, July 13th, 2024. Everybody showed up. The FBI, the sheriff, the state police, everybody was there, except the people responsible for that day, the Secret Service.
Why are there Secret Service agents here right now for this press conference?
So Secret Service wasn't available for the press conference at this time.
Why not? They were getting their stories straight. It took over a month before they had an actual press conference. It was crazy. A transparent country. Give me a break. By the time President Trump got to the podium, law enforcement, including Secret Service, 7 minutes before he was shot, had been trading messages for 90 minutes about this suspicious lowlife with a rangefinder looking at the stage. But nobody could figure out, maybe, instead of just trying to find a radio that works, maybe just going out there and confronting him. It says a lot about not just the Secret Service, but about America today. So many of us, myself included, glued to that stupid phone, right? Maybe somebody else will do it. Don't take any risks. I don't want to get in trouble from my boss, right? The people, though, they were vigilant, and when they saw something not right, like a would-be assassin on the roof, they started yelling and shouting.
Look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. We have people that should not be here. Right on the roof.
Well, the people, they were doing their part, but he was still speaking, and nobody could say, "Get off the stage, Mr. President." I have seen baseball games called for lightning 10 miles away. But this guy's on the roof of that building, and nobody thinks to get President Trump off. And they knew the guy was there with a gun. It is absolutely crazy. It's insane. It's even more insane that nobody's getting fired. Nobody lost their job. How about that? So there was great bravery, of course, but bravery is not enough. It's not enough. You have to be proactive. You have to be reactive. You have to be, take a look at these messages again. We went through it too fast. He's at 6:05, just gets to the podium. And all of these messages that are going around for a long time. This is just a portion of them. Kid leaning against the building. I did see him with a rangefinder looking towards the stage. You want to notify Secret Service snipers to look out? I lost sight of him. Call in to this command center 50 yards from the exit. All of this stuff. And it was just kind of blown off. I don't understand what kind of country we live in anymore. I want to go to the report itself. 6 people suspended for 6 weeks. Give me a break. The special agent in charge did not have a working radio on him during his entire time at the July 13th rally. Next, a Secret Service counter-sniper was offered a local radio on July 13th, but said he did not have time to pick it up because he was occupied fixing technical problems with his own Secret Service radio. Hey, this is important, folks. It's 75 Secret Service agents, right? And 75 local police. They couldn't talk to each other. What does this say? He was there to act more in a liaison capacity. This is the special agent in charge. However, he did not have any means to communicate on the radio with his Secret Service counterparts. A liaison who can't talk to the other people on his team? That's crazy. The special agent in charge said, "I'm there just if something comes up and somebody needs help, or if there's something with our local or state partners or something else comes up. I'm there to assist with that. I'm a helper. A helper." The United States Secret Service counter-sniper team leader saw local law enforcement running toward the AGR building with their guns drawn, but did not radio the Trump detail to remove Trump from the stage. What is going on with this? It's borderline deliberate. A Secret Service official was made aware that credible intelligence existed of a threat, but still wrote in a security planning document that there was no adverse intelligence concerning the visit to Butler, Pennsylvania, and more. A senior supervisory agent was doing junior tasks in Butler? Like what? Escorting individuals backstage for photo opportunities with former President Trump. A guy with 20 years on the job just acting like a tourist. Key requests to FBI, DHS, ATF, and the United States Secret Service remain outstanding. The majority of documents provided by the Secret Service and DHS heavily redacted. Now, they have no business holding anything back from the Senate. Senate's dysfunctional. I know that, but they are elected. That's the closest thing we got to the constitutional republic, to the democracy. They can't keep this information to themselves. These people were not elected. Continue, please. Magnetometers requested 13. Only 10 allocated. They were giving the Trump campaign the short shrift on everything. Several U.S. Secret Service individuals responsible for planning and security for July 13th rally provided contradictory or incomplete information, some of which ran counter to responses from state and local law enforcement officials. This is bureaucratic, nice political talk for people are lying. They're lying. Keep going, please. USSS personnel responsible for planning in advance of the July 13th rally denied that they were individually responsible for planning or security failures and deflected blame. That's the kind of thing. If everybody's responsible, nobody's responsible. That's a classic deep state practice. Next. Agents sleeping on the job at Mar-a-Lago. It wasn't just Butler. The whole damn agency is screwed up. Secret Service agents posting sensitive locations on Instagram. People living their best life on Instagram. Secret Service advanced agents told the committee that planning and security decisions were made jointly with no specific individual responsible for approval. Again, everybody's responsible, so no one's responsible. Oh, now this is fascinating. There's something called a counter-surveillance team. Very important. And they also call it a CSU, all right? CSU, counter-surveillance team. And it went to Jill Biden. Now, a little bit more on the CSU, if you don't mind. A CSU is used to identify and observe outer perimeter areas from which significant threats could originate. Okay. Wouldn't it have been perfect? Jill Biden gets one for some auditorium in Pittsburgh where there's 100 people, and that guy, what's his name, Crooks, running all around that stage. If they had a counter-surveillance unit, right, could have counter-surveilled that individual, but they didn't give President Trump one. Jill Biden gets one. Trump doesn't. That is totally rotten. So you can understand a little bit, just a little bit. We can't understand really fully, not light years, Mrs. Comparator and what she and her daughters, the questions that they need answers to, and quite frankly, nobody has been demanding them strongly enough. It's incredible. And yeah, this kind of reminds me a little bit of the shooting at that Christian school in Nashville. Do you remember? Now, this was a horrible tragedy, but law enforcement was state-of-the-art in their response. It was amazing. They performed just like they trained, and they got him before he could have done a lot more damage.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.